Hey YouTube. Well, most of you guys know that I'm retired and that I do all kinds of stuff. I just wanted to show this to you. I had bought this about, oh man, I want to say 5 years ago, and the reason I bought it is because the Chevy one that I have for removing, this is a tool for removing cam bearings. The reason that I bought it was because my son had a Ford Ranger, and when the Ranger went, he had gotten some kind of shaft broke on it, lost oil, and I had to rebuild the motor. So I did rebuild it, and I needed this to put the cam bearings in. But this tool is designed to take cam bearings in and out of a vehicle, okay, that the engine is out of the car, so that you can take that oil seal out of the back of where the camshaft is. For instance, on this Chevy block, there's an oil seal down here, and the camshaft runs through the motor, and if you don't take the seal out, you can't knock the bearing out. Well, here was my, I don't know if I could say problem, or I guess it was more like a trial of something, but I did not want to take this motor out of this truck. I've torn it down far enough, and I don't want to take any longer than I have to get it back together. So I figured out a way, thank God, for myself to pull that bearing out of the back of the engine without taking it apart. And I think that this is really neat. I don't know how many of these, pardon the camera, I don't even know if they make this tool, but here's what I did. Now if you look up there, you can see the bearing is on its way out. So I'm going to finish pulling it out here. All I got to do is tighten up on the nut. There. So there the bearing is. Now, if you see, the bearing is coming out. Now I have to take this, loosen that nut up there. What I did was I took and I made a cam bearing, I guess you could call it an installer. That's this aluminum piece. And I cut it in 4 pieces so that I could expand it. I put 2 rubber bands around it, similar to what they had in that kit. However, the kit is made to only go forward, and the problem with that is there's 1.5 inches sticking out the one end of it, so you really couldn't get it in there. So what I did here was, if you see, let me see if I can get a better light on there for you. I took a flat grade 8 washer there. I hope I'm getting that in the camera. And I welded it onto a threaded rod. Is that a 3/8? That's a 1/2 inch threaded rod. And I took those 4 pieces, and I'll show them to you when I take this out. Put a lip on them on my lathe. I cut them in 4 pieces, put a rubber band around them, and then measured the distance that was actually inside there from where the cam bearing ended and the back of the plate there, I don't even know if you can see that in there, was, and I had like 22-30 seconds there or less, no, 12-30 seconds to play with. So I had to make the distance then from the back of this plate here to the front of this lip 12-30 seconds or less in order to grab a hold of the bearing. So it took me about 3 tries because I was a little too thick, because I didn't know if the aluminum would actually hold up. But you can see the engine's still in the truck, and that's the last cam bearing to come out. Now I didn't take the other ones out yet because I wanted to be able to drag the threaded rod over the journals without, or not the journals, but the bearing without hurting the block. So that I did. So I'll tell you guys, I put it in, and I'm a believer. I put it in, tightened it up, and I'll show it to you when I get it back out. And I said a prayer, and I don't care what anybody says, but the Lord answered my prayer and pulled that bearing right out of there for me. I was so happy that that come out, because this was going to be a pain in the butt to replace this if I had to take the motor out. And when you're by yourself, it's just too much trouble. So there we go. The bearing's out. That's it right there. And I'm one happy camper. I'll show you the whole tool, how I made it when I get done here. Take it easy, guys. Thank you. Bye.